Welcome back, everybody, to Sip with Sam. I'm Sam Licardo, member of Congress. That is Justin. We're on our way Saturday morning to Pacifica for some community events. And lots of folks are asking me about what is going on with this shutdown that's scheduled for October 1st. Let me tell you what you're hearing. Let me tell you what you're not hearing. First, what you're hearing from Republicans is Democratic senators aren't voting for a continuing resolution to extend current spending past the deadline. That's why the government's shutting down. Democrats are saying, well, actually, Republicans control both the House and the Senate with the majority, and they control the White House. And none of those folks are actually sitting down with us to negotiate what should be extended, what shouldn't be. And if we can't negotiate with anybody, we can't agree to a deal we don't negotiate on. It turns out that both sides are actually accurate in this case. And it is true that nobody's around to negotiate with. I'm flying back to Washington, D.C. on Sunday night. And I'll be there Monday with my Democrat colleagues. I'm told that the Republican leader has told his team not to go back to Washington. I think that's the wrong approach. We should always be ready to negotiate, and we should always be ready to vote to get a deal done. So I'll be there Monday ready to go. Now, what are you not hearing? Well, for one thing, in all the discussion about health care and what's being cut, what's not, I think a lot of folks aren't hearing the details, which is there are critical tax credits that are going to expire in just a couple months. And we all expected and hoped that those tax credits would be extended in the existing or in the prior budget that passed a few months ago. They weren't. Then they would have to be included in whatever continuing resolution that passes to keep the government open. In this budget, they're not included. What does that mean? It means 20 million Americans, including 24,000 Americans and families in our district alone, are going to see their health insurance double. Premiums are going to increase 93% as a result of the loss of these credits. Obviously, this is brutal, not just for those 20 million Americans and their families, but in fact, for many more, that is, virtually all of us are going to pay higher premiums as a result of the loss of these tax credits, because by pushing more and more people off of health insurance, you are now going to force those same people to get their health care from emergency rooms and firefighters, which obviously is a much more expensive way to be getting health care, and it's also a way that leads to a lot more human misery. So we've got to extend those tax credits. It's critical for all those families and for all of us to keep costs of health care down. Secondly, here's what's not being said. We can't negotiate with somebody who isn't going to keep to the terms of the deal. And we know about Trump, both under Doge and the reign of Doge early on in his term, and more recently with these rescissions and pocket rescissions, is Trump does not stick to the law, right? We have appropriations laws passed by Congress, which is what Article 1 of the Constitution says we have the authority to do. We control spending, passed by Congress. The president signs those laws. Now they're law. And we're all bound by them. Every American, including the President of the United States, he's not willing to keep to it. So we need something like the bill that I introduced that's been supported by 40 of my colleagues. It's called Protecting Our Constitutions and Communities Act, that would contain provisions to force the executive branch to stick to the law. That is, to ensure that every American has what's called a private right of action, is empowered to be able to bring a lawsuit if they are harmed, if the president doesn't follow an appropriations law. All we're asking is simply for this administration to follow law. That's not a lot to ask. I'll be back at you very soon with more. Thanks.